Okay, so for this album quest discussion, what's our mission? What do we need to get our heads around?
Well, first we need to understand how he did it, the methodology, because it's quite specific and, yeah, ruthless.
Right.
And then we're going to zoom right in on one particular round, Group 210, because the results there were, let's say, controversial, lots of strong opinions.
Contentious Group 210. Got it.
Yeah.
So the method first. How did this World Cup actually work?
Okay, so picture this. Albums get thrown into random groups of 4. Just luck of the draw. Then Greenstrax, he sits down and properly listens to each one multiple times, apparently, sometimes over days.
Giving them a fair shot then.
Trying to, yeah. Then he ranks them very precisely for second, third, fourth. But here's the key rule, the knockout punch. Only the top 2 from each group move on. That's it. Doesn't matter if number 3 or 4 is, some massive classic, they're out.
Wow, okay. That definitely sets things up for some drama, some big names getting knocked out early.
Exactly, which leads us perfectly into Group 210. It really delivered on that potential chaos.
So who was in the mix for this one? Lay them out for us.
Right, Group 210, we had Ed Sheeran's massive album, Divide.
Okay, global pop phenomena.
Then Eminem's comeback attempt, Revival.
My Primal-T.
Then Radiohead's classic, The Bends.
Rock Giants.
And the wild card, The Last Dance, which isn't an artist album, it's a compilation. Gentle love songs, mostly.
Okay, that is a mixed bag. Pop, rap, rock, and a compilation. Fascinating lineup.
Yeah, you've got big ambitions, nostalgia, critical darlings, pure pop power, all clashing. And straight away, 2 heavy hitters got knocked out.
Okay, let's start from the bottom then. Who finished last?
4th place went to the compilation The Last Dance.
The Love Songs album. How did it fare in the critique?
Well, he didn't hate it, called it a lovely little collection, actually. Gave nods to Engelbert Humperdinck's Last Waltz.
That's classic.
And The Temptations, just my imagination, smooth stuff. Plus, the essentials like Marvin Gaye's I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Can't really argue with those.
Sounds pleasant enough. So what dragged it down to 4th?
This is where his specific taste really comes in. He pointed fingers directly at 2 tracks. First, Boyzone's cover of the Bee Gees' Words.
Oh, dear.
He literally said they murdered it.
Ouch. Strong word.
And the other was a reworking of Wet's Angel Eyes, which he called unnecessary and poorly done.
So just 2 tracks, maybe seen as low points, were enough to sink it below the others.
In this system, absolutely. Consistency matters. But here's the kicker, the really telling detail he wrote.
Yeah.
He noted that The Last Dance almost bettered Revival.
Wow, okay. That puts a whole different spin on things. It means Revival must have really underwhelmed him.
Massively. Which takes us straight to the big story of Group 210, Eminem's Revival finishing 3rd place, knocked out.
For Marshall Mathers.
Yeah.
That's a huge upset in any kind of music ranking, surely.
It is, and the critique explains why. It wasn't just a casual dislike. It reads like real frustration from someone who's followed his career.
Yeah, what were the main points?
Overall assessment, a bit messy in places, that it felt like Eminem was just retreading old ground, nothing new. And critically, that it just wasn't better than any of his first 6 albums, which is, yeah, pretty damning. Less of a bold new step, more like looking backward.
Okay, but he didn't just trash the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the source mentions some tracks.
Yeah, not entirely. He did specify tracks that don't really deliver. A Rose, remind me, Offended were named.
Right.
But he gave credit where it was due, praising the start of the album. The first quarter, he said, had the good stuff. Tracks like Believe, Chloroseptic, Untouchable.
So it started strong and then...
And then, according to him, it kind of fell apart, devolved into, and this is a quote, a rock sample-heavy array of pallid rap tracks.
Okay, rock sample-heavy, pallid.
Yeah.
That definitely suggests a stylistic issue for him.
It really does. It tells you what Greenstrax values, He seems to favor that lyrical sharpness, the flow, the coherence. And Revival, for him, just sounded like noise relying too much on samples.
And it wasn't just the music, was it? Weren't there comments about themes or features?
Yeah, spot on. The track River, featuring Ed Sheeran, that got called out.
Okay.
This missed opportunity. The thinking was, look, Ed Sheeran can actually rap. He's shown that.
Right.
So the expectation was maybe this cool back and forth, them trading verses or something dynamic. Instead, it felt, well, separate, like they weren't really interacting on the track. Restrained.
Interesting. And wasn't there something about the politics, too?
Ah, yes. The track Like Home, Eminem calls Donald Trump a Nazi.
Right. I remember that causing a stir.
Well, it drew a really specific reaction from Greenstrax. Not agreement or disagreement, just surprise, maybe skepticism. He literally wrote, wait, Slim is a liberal now.
Huh. So the shift in tone, maybe losing that old doesn't give a damn edge, combined with the messy music.
Yeah.
It all added up.
Pretty much. That perceived change in stance plus the musical inconsistency. It seems like it was just a disappointing package overall for this particular listener.
And the final verdict in the blog.
Summed it up bleakly. Marshall seems on a downward keel. So yeah, big ambition, lots of noise, but poor execution in his view. And in this quest, that meant elimination.
It lost out.
Beaten by an album that the author didn't even seem that enthusiastic about, which is the next interesting part.
Okay, let's move up the rankings then. The album that just scraped past Revival into second place, Radiohead's The Bends.
That's the one. Qualified for the next round.
Now, The Bends is often considered a classic, but the write-up wasn't exactly glowing, was it? He didn't say it blew him away.
No, not at all. And this is where you see the system's priorities again. Coherence over flashiness, maybe? The Bends won because it was solid. Reliable.
How did he describe it?
He said it was much more coherent than Revival, which, okay, seems like a low bar based on the Revival critique.
Sure.
But interestingly, he also called it more lively than some later Radiohead albums, specifically mentioning Kid A and OK Computer.
Whoa, hang on. More lively than OK Computer. That's a take.
It is a take. Definitely raises an eyebrow. But it tells you what he heard or what he valued in that listening session.
So what specifically did he praise about the Bends that got it through?
It seemed to be about the production, the whole feel of it. He talked about dreamlike and articulate tracks.
Okay.
Produced in a way that they seep directly into your consciousness. That suggests something about the atmosphere, the consistency of the sound.
Tracks like Street Spirit, maybe?
Oh.
High and Dry?
Exactly, that kind of seamless, immersive quality. It just worked. It held together as an album experience, even if it wasn't setting off fireworks for him. It was, crucially, an agreeable listen.
Agreeable, okay.
Yeah.
So Revival aimed high and crashed, in his view. The Bends was consistently good, agreeable, and sneaked into second.
Yep, which leaves only one.
The winner, comfortably progressing in first place, Ed Sheeran's Divide.
The clear number one for Group 210, according to Greenstrokes. And the way he talks about it using these specific musical comparisons is really revealing.
What kind of comparisons?
Okay, get this. Right away, he mentions a whiff of Eric Clapton.
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton. Wow. Okay, that's not the first comparison that springs to my mind, I gotta say.
Mine neither, but it clearly struck him that way. He pointed to the song Perfect.
Yeah, huge hit.
Said it sounded uncannily reminiscent of Clapton's Wonderful Tonight.
Okay, I can kind of see the smooth ballad connection there, maybe.
And he didn't stop there. The guitar style on another track, how would you feel? He said it could have fit right onto Clapton albums like Journeyman or Slow Hand.
So he's hearing that kind of smooth blues rock craftsmanship in Sheeran's pop.
Apparently so. It strongly suggests that Greenstrokes really values that kind of polished, familiar, well-executed song structure. That Clapton comparison is a massive clue to his taste.
But isn't that, well, a bit safe?
Mm-hmm.
For a quest trying to find the best album ever, prioritizing something that sounds like established rock legends over something perhaps more innovative?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And Greenstrokes sort of anticipates that criticism in the blog.
Wow.
He acknowledges the style might be seen as prodigiously MOR middle of the road for some.
Okay, so he knows it might seem unadventurous.
Yeah, but he follows it up immediately with, essentially, but who cares? He writes, the kids seem to lap this shit up. So popular appeal and craftsmanship seem to outweigh any concerns about it being too MOR. Quality and familiarity won.
So the Clapton vibe wasn't the only thing he liked. Was the rest of the album strong?
Absolutely. The key word for Divide in this review was cohesion. Shit just flowed. He praised it pretty much from start to finish.
Which track stood out?
Kicked off with Eraser, which he called genuinely excellent. Then big praise for Castle on the Hill, Shape of You, obviously.
Huge.
Happier New Man. It just sounded like a really well put together, consistently high quality listen for him. No real dips like he found in Revival.
Right. Consistent quality from start to finish.
Exactly. Straight to the top of the group. And then came the ultimate praise, or maybe hyperbole.
Go on.
He called Ed Sheeran the English Bob Dylan.
Okay.
Oops.
Right. Certainly a comparison. The English Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Guaranteed to make some people spit out their tea, right?
Yep.
But you have to understand it in the context of his quest.
What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah.
Surely not lyrically in the same vein.
Probably not about intricate, complex poetry. No. More likely about Sheeran's ability to capture the mood of the time, to connect with a huge audience on a really direct emotional level through seemingly simple songwriting. For Greensterox, in this specific context, it cemented Divide as the clear, dominant winner of this group.
Okay, let's pull back and synthesize then.
Yeah.
Group 210's final ranking. Number 1, Ed Sheeran's Divide. Number 2, Radiohead's The Bends. They both go through.
Yep.
Number 3, Eminem's Revival. Number 4, The Last Dance compilation. Both out.
That's the final score.
So what's the big takeaway here? If we boil down the findings from just this one very dramatic group.
I think the core insight is about how subjective criticism works and maybe what best even means in these contexts. This quest shows an album doesn't need to be revolutionary or, blow you away to win.
Right. The Bends proved that by getting second.
Exactly. Instead, what Greensterox seemed to value most here was coherence, solid execution, and maybe a certain agreeableness. That Clapton comparison points towards comfort and familiarity being really important.
And that kind of reliable album will beat out a highly anticipated ambitious album if that ambitious album feels messy or inconsistent.
Precisely. It seems like Revival's perceived messiness and inconsistency were fatal flaws in this system. Doesn't matter how big the artist's reputation is, Eminem, Radiohead, if the album itself doesn't deliver on that specific criteria of coherence for the judge.
So the smooth journey beats the risky, potentially flawed statement piece.
In this round, absolutely. Coherence and consistency were the unspoken rules, it seems. And that's the fun of this whole World Cup idea, isn't it? Seeing those personal preferences play out so starkly.
It really is a great reminder that any personal album quest like this is all about that brutal honesty, that one person's musical truth, forcing tough calls.
Definitely. And it leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. If we look at these results, Sheeran and Radiohead's coherence beating Eminem's perceived messiness, does it suggest something broader? Is the real lesson from any search for the best album always going to favor the most agreeable, the most reliably satisfying listen? Does that predictable comfort factor inevitably win out over something that tries to be groundbreaking but maybe stumbles a bit in the process?
That's a really interesting question. Does best ultimately mean most consistently agreeable?
Maybe. Something to think about next time you're ranking your own favorites anyway. Where do you fall on that line between reliable quality and flawed ambition?